So first video we got, all right, it is it has to do with video games and scary games that we are going. Stroke my, lick my, suck my cock. It's almost like, how am I supposed to be serious after something like that? You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. Anyways, as I was saying, this has to do with games and specifically scary games that we are going to be playing this year. Okay, this is a new engine. It's called Unreal Engine 5.1.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We have some work to do now.
Who the fuck did that? Get him out. All the new scary games are going to be made on this engine, and this engine is crazy. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Why Unreal Engine 5.1 is a huge deal. Let's watch it together.
The first major update for Unreal Engine 5 just released called 5.1, and it is a huge deal. The reason why is one word, and that is foliage. Since Unreal Engine 5 came out, it introduced a revolutionary new way of rendering geometry called Nanite. To briefly sum up Nanite, every object you see in computer graphics is composed of tiny flat planes of geometry called polygons. And the more polygons you have in your environment, the longer it will take to render. This is why video games have developed a system called level of detail, or LOD for short. The further away an object is from the camera, the less polygons it will use to render that object. This makes games run faster since there's less polygons that have to be rendered, but it is very time consuming to create all those LODs. Nanite replaces LODs because it uses dynamic level detail. This means you can have an object with millions of polygons without any LODs because polygons dynamically deform, lowering the amount of polys on an object. A good example of Nanite in use is this desert.
Should I get the new fucking best graphics card, bro? Fuck! Because I want to be able to play games in crazy quality for you guys. Like, I want every game to be maxed out fucking crazy, visually appealing. I want you guys to see the best shit possible. Guys, I have a 3090 right now, but I bought that recently, and now a 4090 came out, which is like, I guess, crazy.
If I come up to lit, Nanite, triangles, we can see Nanite in action. Every color is an individual polygon, and there are millions of them, without a single LOD being used. The biggest issue with Nanite is that it did not work with foliage. This means we still have to rely on level of detail for foliage like shrubs, grass, and trees. Trees generally use billboards as the lowest level of detail.
I've played games where that shit looks like that. It's ass.
It's just a flat plane with a texture that, as you can see, does not look very nice. Here is an example of what a billboard looks like. I have Unreal Engine 5 opened up, and in this environment, all the trees are using level of details because that was the only option. Now, if I move my camera far away, you can see that the trees change LODs until they are using billboards.
Yeah,
and the transition looks pretty bad.
Yep.
Notice how even the shadows disappear because billboards only block light if it's facing it. Now in Unreal Engine 5.1, we finally get Nanite foliage. To enable Nanite on foliage is pretty simple. You want to open up the static mesh.
I don't know what this is.
And within
I don't know what this is. You lost me.
Support is turned on, and this is
what the fuck is that?
Select preserve area. That's how if we aren't too far away, the object won't disappear. And then press apply changes.
Okay.
I went ahead and did the exact same process to all the trees in this environment.
Is he gonna zoom out? And
now when the camera flies away, there is no LOD transitions or billboards. The trees retain the same quality as if they're being viewed up close. And the shadows do not disappear at long distances.
Wait, that's actually crazy.
There is no loss in performance. In fact, we gained an extra 5 frames. So it is more performant than LODs. So Nanite not only looks better, it runs better in certain scenarios. Here's another example showing the power of Nanite. This is what it looks like without Nanite. The level of detail is noticeable because you can see that in the distance, the trees are just textures. Also, the lighting is casting incorrect shadows.
Dude, scary games on this are gonna be unbelievable, bro. And you guys know, obviously, we play a ton of scary games on this channel. So I'm so excited for this. I feel like this year is going to be insane for games for us. I can't wait.
And this is the same environment, but with Nanite enabled. The trees far away are no longer being faked by inaccurate textures. All the trees are real geometry that exists in the world, and we did not lose any performance. I wanted to push the limit of Nanite foliage, so I create a forest that is 4 square kilometers. In total, there's over 100,000 trees in this environment, and I'm still getting decent performance. And as a reminder, this is all in real time. This level of density was
Dude, is GTA 6 going to be made on this? Imagine if GTA 6 is made on this. And when you're like flying around the city in a fucking plane and it like looks amazing, even if it's far away, dude, that game's going to break the internet. Absolutely. Regardless, it will. But if it's on this shit.
was only possible in pre-rendered movies. Also, it makes life easier. We don't need several different versions of an object for LODs anymore. On top of Nanite, Foliage now interacts with light accurately. In real life, light passes through or bounces inside of leaves, creating subsurface scattering.
What?
Previously, this did not work with UE5's lighting, but now it does. This is Foliage in Unreal Engine 5.0. Notice how the shadows are way too dark and unrealistic. And here's Foliage in Unreal Engine 5.1.
Okay.
Now light is passing through the leaves and illuminating the ground, which looks a lot nicer. This is a subtle change, but it does make a big difference. They also added Nanite landscapes, but it is feature incomplete and still in early access.
Dude, there's people that know how to fucking work this program. I would be so dumb, dude.
Hopefully in the next version of
What
Unreal,
is
we
this?
get proper Nanite landscapes. Of course, Foliage is not the only major change. When Unreal Engine 5 released, it introduced a new lighting system called Lumen, which gave us high performance dynamic bounce lighting. And while it was revolutionary, there was one big issue, and that is it did not work with translucent materials. So glass and water reflections were pretty much broken. It was so bad that I was recommending people to not use glass, since the reflections were completely different from the environment. Right now, I have a previous Unreal Engine version open up, and this house's windows reflections make no sense. You can see that we're getting reflections.
Okay, so
from
imagine
nowhere,
it's a scary game right now.
and same thing for this glass jar. And this is the same environment in
Damn!
5.1. But you will notice that there is no change yet in the reflections. And that's because we have
Dude,
to
I
go
love how
into
much
our
like
post-process
brighter
volume,
it is, dude.
and under reflections, lumen reflections, make sure high quality translucency reflection is turned on. Now we get a one-to-one reflection with our environment. We can better see this in the glass cupboard. There is an
Cupboard.
accurate reflection of the room. We can even see the table and windows within that reflection.
That's crazy.
The only downside is that the setting does lower performance, so there is a cost, but nothing is free, and now reflections work. Water isn't broken anymore because of this new setting. Before this update, to get true reflection, we would have to use planar reflection and then manually move it to line it up with the water. Now I could just enable
I don't know what that
translucent
means.
to get realistic water reflections without having to use a reflection capture. This also fixes reflections for large bodies of water. Notice how on the side of the viewport, we have weird reflections. This is because by default, Unreal is using screen space for translucent reflections. So that's why we get this artifacting. And to get rid of it now, just within the post-process volume, activate high quality translucency reflection.
Damn, that looks
Now we
way
get
better,
accurate,
dude.
large body reflections without any artifacting.
That looks
Also,
way
besides
better.
Lumen reflections working with glass and water, Lumen Global Illumination has seen massive improvements. Lumen now has a much more accurate bounce lighting because it is bouncing light from the object surface instead of a voxel approximation. What this means is that our environment is indirectly illuminated more and there is less noise. Right here is a simple room with a point light in the old version, and here it is in 5.1. The shadows are more illuminated.
Dude, I'm
and
so
we got rid
excited
of the
for
weird
games this
occlusion
year.
in the corners. Here's another example of just indirect sky lighting in version 5, and here it is in 5.1. You can tell that the secondary bounces are more accurate and powerful. And finally, there's a lot less noise when using emissive materials. In this example, there's a lot of noise when I move the light around. And here it is in 5.1. There is no
I
noise.
can't. I'm not smart enough to see the difference of those ones. Like those ones, like to me, like my brain, like.
Can't even tell that this is real time. It looks path traced. Lumen wasn't the only lighting system that got approved. Now the path tracer supports sky and atmosphere. Just make sure in your post-process volume under path tracing, reference atmosphere is enabled. Also, path tracing now finally supports decals and light functions. For those who
What
want to
the
use
fuck?
traditional light baking, the GPU light
Okay,
mask
I don't even know what
has
he's
seen
saying at this
massive
point.
improvements. First off, the light mask works. At release,
What
it was
the
crashing,
fuck?
but now since it is more stable, the quality of the lighting is better, and the denoiser has improved in dark areas. Also, the GPU light mask now supports sky and atmosphere right out of the box. Besides lighting, there's also an interesting change to how large Unreal
Yo.
levels can be. In past versions of Unreal, if you are really far away from the world of origin, Unreal Engine starts to break. For example, I'm in Unreal Engine 4, and I'm very far from the origin. the widgets are starting to break apart because Unreal
Fuck.
can't calculate what is happening that far away. Now in 5.1, the recommended area for an environment has expanded
Damn.
from 22 kilometers to 88 million kilometers. So as you can guess, we can create some pretty large worlds now.
Yo, the worlds are gonna be so massive. Wait, dude, you can create 88 million kilometers? Imagine how big of a fucking map you can make. GTA 6 has to like put this shit in it somehow.
And finally, the last major change of
Rockstar's gotta
note
do
is
something.
animation with the sequencer. Animating anything in Unreal is done in the sequencer with keyframes. And if you want to move a sequence of keyframes earlier or later in the timeline, you have to select each one individually. For example, let's say maybe I want this ship to fly off earlier. What I'm going to have to do is hold down Shift and select every single keyframe.
I don't know.
And then move them back. That's how when the animation starts, the ship is already flying off. 5.1 makes this process a lot easier with layer bars.
All right. I don't think we need to know this, but dude, I mean, yeah. See how much brighter it is? So does that mean games that we play aren't going to be as fucking dark as they were? Dude, we've played so many games that are just so dark we can't fucking see.
Major changes of Unreal Engine 5.1. Now, this was just my opinion. Of course, there are...
Yo, look at the reflections. This is before and this is after now. The reflections are crazy.
Hundreds of other new features and bug fixes. So if you are curious, I recommend you check out the release notes in the description below. If you want to keep up to date with everything Unreal Engine.
Interesting. Okay. So I wanted to watch that. I was going to watch that off stream, but I was like, I might as well just watch it with my people. Since you guys are the people I play fucking games with. I'm excited. I'm excited for this year. Dope. Yeah. I mean, scary games. I'm excited for like open world games to be massive in this shit. Like that's what I'm looking forward to.